Hi everyone, welcome back to Pacific Front channel. The C3000 project, which will provide the Royal Australian Navy with 11 general-purpose frigates, seems like in the last trade. However, recent reports revealed that there is one rule applied by the Australian government in this acquisition that is disproportionately benefiting one candidate while putting the other in an unfavorable position. What is this rule and how can it influence the result of this acquisition? Without further ado, let's find out in today's video. Stay tuned. TKMS and MHI are believed to be finalizing their offers with responses due on 31 March. Formerly known as risk reduction studies for the C3000 project, these are 7 discrete packages, including areas such as Australian build strategy, financials, and propulsion systems. It is widely believed that the winner of the C3000 project between Meko and Mogami design will be announced around Australia's federal election due to be held before 27 May. But with around 2 months left of the predicted announcement, the Australian public and all of us must be wondering how little we know about the project and what each candidate is proposing to Australia. Like, is it really a zero design change? Can TKMS and MHI tweak and future-proof their offer to better meet the Royal Australian Navy specifications? The last time we heard about each design and the updated offer from TKMS and MHI was during defense exhibition in Australia a couple of years back. After that, we don't know if questions like what I put forward earlier are being considered or not from the finalists nor the Australian government. This level of secrecy blanketing the project is apparently by design, because the government placed strict guidelines for the C3000, which involve threats of jail for anyone daring to speak about the project. Yup, anyone, especially the representative of the competing designs, cannot talk about their offer in public without being overshadowed by the threat of prison. The government, defense, and the Royal Australian Navy will indeed decide which design they're gonna choose, but the taxpayers have the right to know what their money is spent on. Blocking competing companies from any public discussion about what they are offering just gonna make the Australian public distrust the decision process. MHI and Mogami are in an easier position regarding this guideline. While MHI can't talk about their bid on the C3000 project, they can freely talk about the Mogami frigates delivered to the GMSDF, which is the same thing. The Japanese government is also supportive of this campaign, even invited Australian journalists to the launching ceremony of the 10th Mogami frigate and were given unprecedented access on board the ship as well. TKMS and the German government though don't have this chance, since the requirement for C3000 emphasize on an existing design. Notionally, the TKMS bid for this project focuses on the most recent configuration represented by the Egyptian Al-Aziz class. Unfortunately, the Egyptian government has no particular interest in helping the Australian media and to a wider extent Australian public with their inquiries, which is understandable since the C3000 has nothing to do with them, so why bother revealing one of the most capable ships in their fleet to strangers? This situation creates the public impression to the extent that of a very lopsided competition. The government seems indifferent to what is taking place and shows no interest in leveling the playing field by giving TKMS the right to speak, making the public conclude that a decision in favor of Mogami has already been taken. Furthermore, this impression is worsened by the fact that defense is allowing MHI to offer the upgraded version of the Mogami, but is rumored to have blocked TKMS from offering an upgraded Meko frigate known as the Meko A210. Well, honestly speaking, the upgraded Mogami is the only one available for sale, with construction starting this year and the first ship delivered in 2027. And if Japan is chosen, Australia is promised to get the third ship of the new series, which will be launched in mid-2028. But it wasn't like this before. Until C3000, all other major naval acquisitions were carried out in public view. As far back as the mid-2000s, both the air warfare destroyer and the Canberra-class LHD were open to the public, with competing bids from the US, Spain, and France. The disastrous end of the Atta-class submarine under the C1000 project was an open process with highly visible activities involving France, Germany, and Japan. Even the relatively small C1180 project, which delivers the Arafura-class OPV, was a public process with designs from Germany and the Netherlands being actively marketed. In all projects, bidders were free to promote their products and explain the benefits of their offers, usually with an emphasis on work to be performed in Australia, which is a normal thing to do during a competitive process in many countries, including Indonesia. I remember a long time ago when we were still looking for the F5 replacement, Eurofighter invited a former Typhoon test pilot to Indonesia to discuss their fighter jet at a Car Free Day event in Jakarta. Even though we eventually chose the Rafale instead, this event helped improve public knowledge about the Typhoon. I'm not sure why the Australian government now decided to keep the C3000 project under the blanket and make such guidelines, especially for major acquisition like this with billions of taxpayers' dollars at stake. Is it due to commercial confidentiality reasons to speed up the acquisition process, or is it a way to minimize the negative impact of the upcoming election? Secrecy in defense acquisition should be confined to sensitive matters such as competitive pricing and the detailed capability of the subsystems. They don't need to hide everything from the Australian public. And suppressing all information about the project like this rarely contributes to good outcomes. Unless the government has already decided the winner behind the curtain and simply going through the motion of appearing to conduct a credible selection process, I believe TKMS should be given a fair chance to speak, promote its design, and explain the benefits of its offer, or is the program sliding further into disrepute and give a bad example for the future acquisition program? I wonder if our Australian brothers are watching. What's your take on this? Do you agree with the current state of the C3000 acquisition process? Or should the Australian public be given access to more information? Let us know in the comment section below. And if you wonder how Meko A200 from TKMS and Mogami from MHI compare to each other, you can watch it right here. Thank you for watching everyone. I'll see you there.